Hello, this is Catherine from Accelerated Reader. Today I will be reading Jane the Clumsy Giraffe by Karen Mowrer. Before I begin reading, I would like to give a big thanks to the author for sending me this book to read on my channel. In the description below, I have included links where you may find and purchase this book. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For Walter. Jane the Clumsy Giraffe. Long ago, giraffes were not as they are today. In fact, did you know? They looked a much different way. Instead of long necks that stretch up into the sky, their necks were quite short and did not reach very high. Short-necked giraffes roamed across the African plain. They were happy together, except for one. Jane. Jane was different. She was not a normal giraffe. Jane was clumsy, so the other giraffes would laugh. Look at Jane, how she trips, and oh, how she stumbles. Silly Jane, how she twists, and oh, how she bumbles. Jane wished she moved like they did, with beauty and grace. It's not who I am, she thought, as tears wet her face. Leaves on tall trees were what the giraffes liked to eat, and the highest green sprouts were the tastiest treat. Standing, the giraffes could not reach the leaves on top. To reach them, short-necked giraffes had to jump and hop. A clumsy jumper, Jane could not eat from tall trees. She would bump her head or fall down and scrape her knees. One day, Jane was hungry. She looked up with a frown. She jumped as high as she could, but didn't come down. Jane realized what had happened as she looked around. Her head was stuck, and she hung far above the ground. Jane began to worry as she squirmed and she strained. She stretched so much that her neck became sore and pained. She tugged and pulled harder. She wished she were stronger. Pop! She was free, but her neck was 3 times longer. The giraffes all laughed at how funny Jane looked now. Just to see the other giraffes, Jane had to bow. Look at Jane's long neck. The giraffes all laughed and said, "We'll have to fly an airplane just to see her head." Jane looked at her neck and thought, "Oh no, look at me." "Stop laughing," she cried. "It's not how I chose to be." Wiping tears, she gazed across the plain with clear eyes. "Now I can reach the treetops," she said with surprise. She found leaves up high and began to proudly munch. Giraffes stared amazed as Jane stood and ate her lunch. Soon the giraffes liked Jane's neck, so long and so lean, and they sadly thought, "We should not have been so mean." They did the same thing that Jane had already done. Giraffes stuck their heads in trees, each and every one. Then they stretched hard at the neck, careful not to fall. Once they freed themselves, they had long necks and were tall. Jane was still clumsy. Her knees would awkwardly bend. Now, the others did not care. She was a good friend. It's because of Jane that giraffes look how they do. By being herself, Jane changed the world. So can you. The end. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. In the description below, I have included links where you may find and purchase this book.